Miramax property contains no Ben Affleck or Matt Damon. Also Miramax. Dictionary reading. Also, come on, QT, get the out of here with your American Heritage Dictionary. No Collins or even Cambridge. Personally, I'm team Merriam-Webster till I die, son.
Forget it, it's too risky.
They go on to have a conversation at length about how risky it is to continue to hold up liquor stores, but the movie starts with them already midway into this discussion. They're even done with their breakfast, which means Pumpkin's been essentially saying the same thing over and over even before he's being called out for sounding like a duck.
Besides, it ain't the giggle it used to be. There's too many foreigners on liquor stores.
And thus begins the frequent reminders that it wasn't nearly as cool to quote a lot of the dialogue from this movie as you remember.
Garçon, coffee! This place.
Pumpkin begins talking about the secret plan to rob the coffee shop immediately after inviting an employee of the coffee shop over to their table.
Nobody ever robs restaurants. Why not?
Well, despite your robbery being generally successful, there are many reasons that people don't rob restaurants. There are multiple exits and entrances, accessible for staff and customers, too many employees to handle who can hide or call for help. It's broad f***ing daylight, and this shop is all windows, and they don't even lock the front door. So why wouldn't someone even show up? And considering they were listing all the reasons not to rob the other places, they should realize this. It's little details like this that make this such a goddamn unicorn of a movie. No one would notice Vincent walking to the bathroom on their first or even probably second viewing, but it's such a delightful little nugget that I have to remove a sin. Having said that, it takes 52 seconds between Vincent walking to the bathroom and the start of the robbery in this scene, and only 12 seconds when it's shown the second time. And sure, maybe there was a time cut that was necessary, but if you're going to go to these lengths to show narrative consistency, you gotta go all the way, man. Over 2 full minutes of opening credits. I don't care that Dick Dale and Kool and the Gang both rule. This is too many minutes of opening credits.
You know the show's on TV?
I don't watch TV.
Vincent is super aware of pop culture, as evidenced by his encyclopedic knowledge at Jackrabbit Slim's. And sure, maybe he only watches movies, but I refuse to believe he didn't catch any of those movies on TV.
Come on, let's hang back. And look, just because I wouldn't get no man a foot massage, don't make it right for myself to throw Antoine off a building into a glass motherfucking house.
I mean, the idea that 2 gangsters are waiting until a precise moment to make their entrance and continue a discussion about foot massages is hilarious, and it's going to remove one sin from this movie.
Now let me take a wild guess here. You're Brett, right?
What would have happened if Jules got this wrong? Would they just start immediately plugging away at him to save them from embarrassment?
Check out the big brain on Brad!
Jules 100% says Brad here instead of Brett, and it's always bothered me. You Brett truthers out there are convinced that he's just over-stylizing the correct name, and you can kiss my ass.
I just want you to know how sorry we are that things got so f***ed up with us and Mr. Wallace.
Yeah, what exactly got f***ed up, by the way? Sure, they have the briefcase, but it's not like they're in hiding or anything. They're in an easily accessible apartment, with the super important case barely hidden in the goddamn kitchen cabinet. Brett is a smart guy, so what the happened here? There must be, like, nobody in this apartment complex who can call the cops when Jules shoots a guy, throws a table, and goes through a shouty dialogue with Brett.
What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English and what?
Jesus Christ, some of this movie's dialogue doesn't necessarily hold up, but this is just absolute gold.
Ezekiel 25:17, the path of the righteous man.
Jules is about to give a creative rendition of Ezekiel 25:17 that is mostly wrong, but the thing he reads is at least 5 verses. He must have read the King James unabridged director's cut version.
And you will know my name is the Lord.
Damn, Nick. It's gonna be pretty hard to recruit for the Avengers if you take this tack with them. Why the hell did they need to unload on Brett? Jules took some couch guy out with 1 bullet a few minutes ago. It's not like the extra gunshots are gonna intimidate his corpse.
Boxers don't have an old timers day.
Hey, what about Foreman Briggs? Ali Spinks? Creed Drago? Okay, that last one may have ended badly, but I'm just saying, those old man fights still make a goddamn fortune.
Oh, Vincent Vega, our man in Amsterdam. Jules Winfield, our man in Inglewood. Get your asses on in here.
Ha ha ha! Now that you've been properly identified by your full name, title, and home location, you may enter this bar. I give you permission as the overly jovial bartender of this establishment. Ha ha ha!
One in my belly, one in my lip, one in my clit, and I wear a stud in my tongue.
Excuse me, why would you wear a stud in your tongue?
Jody literally just detailed her vaginal piercing in a very sensitive area, but Vincent is curious about the tongue stud? And I guess he may not know what the love button is, but you gotta figure a guy that's given 1 million ladies 1 million foot massages has a better grasp on female anatomy.
Give me $3,000 of Madman.
Okay.
If it's as good as you say it is, I'll come back and buy another 1,000.
So Vincent is a heroin addict, but he's an extremely high-functioning one? Other than him acting kind of buzzy on the way to Mia's, this incredibly powerful heroin barely affects him. Jesus Christ, I saw The Dirt on Netflix, man. That's way more potent than we see here.
Hi, Vincent. I'm getting dressed.
Narrating. Also, Marcellus and Mia have this house wired like Fort Knox, with a camera and intercom set up inside, but she has to leave a handwritten note on the front door? Even Jerry Seinfeld had a front door intercom in the mid-90s. It's at this point that Dusty Springfield's Son of a Preacher Man is playing, and Vincent is exploring the house, and Mia's getting ready, and it's like a cozy blanket of movie warmth, and I love it so much that I can watch the scene a million times in a row and not get sick of it. And go ahead and take a sin off while I'm hypnotized by its awesomeness. Quentin Tarantino's foot fetish. And since we have always heard Tarantino steals from everybody to make his movies, this fetish is directly stolen from James Cameron, I guess.
Don't be a...
Rectangle! This 3-second sequence of Speed Racer is already better than the movie the Wachowskis would make 14 years later. Theme restaurants.
Jerry Lewis out of it.
Damn, man, Martin and Lewis are totally stepping all over Ricky Nelson's main stage performance. Save the comedy for after the main act, boys.
I'll have the Durward Kirby burger, bloody.
The fact that either of these two assholes want anything to do with food after the type and amount of drugs they've done already is absurd. You ever see a person high on cocaine that has the fucking munchies?
How do you want that shake? Martin and Lewis or Amos and Andy?
Martin and Lewis.
Holy this restaurant makes shakes and names them vanilla and chocolate based on race? And while we're at it, is the Amos and Andy shake the TV show that actually used black actors, or is it the radio show that used white actors doing black voices? Asking for a fiend.
Force, as in we're a force to be reckoned with. And 5 as in there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us.
Damn it, Uma Thurman does not get enough recognition for what a great actress she is. Everyone thinks about Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta, but Mia nearly steals it.
Don't be that way, tell me.
No, you wouldn't like it and not be embarrassed.
I've never understood why Mia doesn't tell the joke because of embarrassment. It's not like she wrote the joke. It's not like her reputation as an up-and-coming stand-up comic is on the line.
You can use my straw. I don't have cooties.
Yeah, but maybe I do.
Cooties I can handle.
Heroin cooties?
I said, goddamn!
I don't know exactly what goes on in the ladies' bathrooms, but I find it hard to believe that this many women are just standing there, touching their faces. The most believable part of this shot is the person doing the line of coke.
We're lucky we got anything at all. I don't think Buddy Holly's much of a waiter.
But he brought your drinks out in under 3 minutes, and your food in just around 5 minutes. Holy Vince. You think Maryland could beat that pace?
That's just what I heard.
Who told you?
They?
Wow, that's the first time I've heard the pronoun game being used to protect people before. But it's still the pronoun game, you protecting lame-ass gossiper piece of Iconic moment. Absolutely a delight. But this is a twist contest, right? And they start briefly with that dance, but then it becomes anything but for the rest of the song. What I'm saying is that these moves may have won our hearts, but it should have lost this particular contest. How the hell did Mia get an Urge Overkill album on Reel to Reel even in 1994?
Hello?
Dude, Mia is clearly a seasoned drug user, so she should totally be able to tell the difference between coke and heroin. And even if she did know that this was heroin, she seriously just fired those lines out to be snorted?
Are you talking to me on a cellular phone? I don't know you. Who is this? Don't come here. I'm hanging up the phone. Prank caller! Prank caller!
Hey man, like none of that you said is gonna hold up in court, just FYI.
Have you lost your mind? You were talking about drug on a cellular...
And you're talking about drug on your front lawn in what looks like a nosy neighborhood. Vince's Malibu is totaled, and I understand that he doesn't care about that right now, but how do they get back after they wake Mia up? I mean, that car drives smooth as hell. Lance looks for the medical book, Vincent yells for Lance to come back, and they never get the book that shows how to give the adrenaline shot. Yet, give the adrenaline shot they do, appropriately, without any practice or knowledge. Look how sweaty Mia is. Ain't no f***ing way the magic marker shows up that well on the skin.
All right, ready? 1.
Is this perhaps one of the most intense scenes of all time? I think it might be one of the most intense scenes of all time.
If you're all right, then say something.
Something.
24-year-old housewife's got dad jokes, yo.
That was f***ing trippy.
You know what else is trippy? The fact that they somehow removed that giant needle from her chest after this scene without any further damage.
Baby Tomato starts lagging behind, and Pop Tomato gets really angry, goes back and squishes him, says, ketchup.
I'm beginning to think that the sin here is the network didn't pick up Fox Force 5. I mean, this is a good joke. It's stupid, but it's on brand. On top of that, you had sexy chicks fighting crime. This show got 1 pilot episode. Full House ran for 8 seasons and got revived on Netflix. There's no justice in the world.
So he hid it. In one place he knew he could hide something. His ass. 5 long years he wore this watch. Up his ass.
It could be that we're being too easy on this movie, but this is a classic scene. Hilarious. Awesome. The Christopher Walken scene is another sin removed. How the hell is Butch this sweaty if he just woke up? And it's not like he was even having a nightmare. He was dreaming about the watch. At this rate, he'll have lost 40% of his body weight by the end of the first round.
You killed the other boxing man.
He's dead?
It's not that I hate the gold watch section of the movie, and there are times where I really enjoy it. It gives us the iconic lines like, will you give me oral pleasure, and I'm gonna get medieval on your ass, which are awesome. It's just that it's not really essential to the rest of the plot. And the other parts are so much more enjoyable that you can seriously skip the entire section and the movie's just as good, if not better. Trust me, I've done this several times. One thing about this scene that has always bothered me, and maybe it's just an old school touch Tarantino is putting on his fiction about Pulp, but it's this black and white rear screen projection throughout the ride.
Next time I see you will be on Tennessee time.
For the record, Knoxville, where he's going, is the Eastern time zone. You go a little west and you're in the Central time zone. So Tennessee time is an abstract concept. and you're an asshole if you think otherwise.
It's unfortunate what we find pleasing to the touch and pleasing to the eye is seldom the same.
It's times like this where you can literally hear Tarantino's writing getting a little too philosophical for his own good.
Will you give me oral pleasure?
You know what? This dialogue is too cutesy. Will you give me oral pleasure is something maybe a 72-year-old grandma says to her gardener 3 days after her husband dies. Not something your French girlfriend says to you after you beat a man to death in a boxing ring. Not gonna bother with Bruce Willis's stand-up act here using the R word. But also, in 1994, Bruce Willis was supremely dedicated to finding ways of getting his out in movies, like in Color of Night. And while I'm sure there's a greater disparity in quality between an actor's 2 movies released in the same year, that's gotta be one of the biggest. I'm sorry, we were singing Color of Night, right?
I'm gonna order a big plate of blueberry pancakes with maple syrup.
This movie's over 2.5 hours, dude. And I'm just saying, as great as it is, there's a lot of unnecessary like this that makes it run that long.
But I specifically reminded you not to forget the watch!
Either Butch didn't specifically remind her, or she's just plain airheaded. Doesn't matter. It's always bothered me that Butch didn't just bring the watch with him to the fight, mixed in with his other things. If this watch is so important that he's about to risk his life trying to get it back, then there's no reason he couldn't have brought it with him, or at least put it in a place where it was guaranteed that Fabian would bring it to the motel. Man, you can raise a ton of a ruckus in crowded apartment buildings and hotels in this movie, and no one says How does Vincent not hear any of this? Butch isn't making a ton of noise, but this is a small-ass apartment, and he's like 10 feet away. Also, Butch gets his f***ing watch, then proceeds to hang around and make toaster pastries. I know he's not supposed to be super bright or anything, but how goddamn dumb is this? It's one of the few things in this movie that rings 100% false to the situation and the character. Holy shit, he killed him with an hour left in the movie. Of course, we flash back after this section, but when I first saw this, my jaw hit the goddamn floor. Masterful storytelling. So, along with his Oscar for Best Screenplay, Tarantino also gets a send-off.
That's how you're gonna beat him, Butch. Keep underestimating him.
Premature celebration. It's unbelievable that Marcellus is out here at this very moment. I know the idea is that since Jules retired, Vincent needs a new partner, but why does it have to be Marcellus? A while back, we saw Paul with Vincent, and it looked like he had been promoted from strip club bartender to whatever Jules was before he left. And while Marcellus told Paul to get the gang to scour the earth for Butch, it's still incredible that Marcellus decided to take Butch's apartment duty and just happened to be carrying goddamn donuts and coffee just when Butch got to this intersection. Kathy Griffin. You know, there was a big-ass car wreck here several minutes ago, and now there's an active shooter in a highly public location. What I'm saying is that the police here are as notably absent from this movie as a non-casually bigoted white character.
Bring out the gimp. I think the gimp's sleeping.
This movie's insanity is about to hit some sort of certifiable psychosis vortex with the introduction of the Gimp. But why does Zed need Maynard to wake him up? Later, we're supposed to believe that the leather-bound Gimp wearing a mask with a zipper over its mouth is supposed to scream for help, while Zed does some pretty ugly to Marcellus in the other room. But honestly, I feel like the Gimp is simply introduced to test the audience's tolerance. Zed does the rhyme with racist origins and even says it the racist way. That makes him racist and a rapist. He's a racist rapist. I mean, seriously, the Gimp is worthless. He makes this scene more memorable and weirder, but he does absolutely nothing that makes sense here. I'm all about Butch getting the samurai sword here, but does this shop really not have any guns for sale? This is a pawn shop, right?
That beat up bad up, boy.
Butch would have to be an actual samurai to get Zed before he could get to the gun. Look how far away he is.
You hear me talking, hillbilly boy? I ain't through with you by damn sight. I'ma get medieval on your ass. There is no me in you.
Granted, Butch did come back and save him, but on the other hand, Marcellus is never in this situation if not for Butch. So I'm kind of torn on Marcellus just letting Butch go, especially after he basically stole all that money from him. The decision is reasonable, but I am not. Also, man, are people ever going to have questions for Marcellus when he tells everybody to stop looking for Butch? How does he explain that to his crew, to other gangsters?
Get your we gotta go right now. If we don't split right now, we're gonna miss the train.
Hang on, Butch woke up at 9 a.m. He then told Fabian that the train leaves at 11. So in less than 2 hours, he's freaked out Fabian about the watch, driven all the way to his apartment, did that stealth arrival routine, killed Vincent, drove most of the way back, got into the wreck with Marcellus, had the shootout in the alley, did the whole Gimp Zed encounter, killed the 2 assholes, and drove all the way back to the hotel with time to spare to get to the station?
Where did you get this motorcycle?
It's not a motorcycle, baby. It's a chopper.
Motorcycle semantics. Button flies. It's amazing to me that in the effort to be in character, Jules and Vincent didn't bother to check the rest of the apartment for other people. In fact, perhaps it's a subtle look into these gangsters' characters that maybe they aren't that good at their jobs. They should have brought shotguns. They spend most of their time debating on the meaning of foot massages. They could have looked for others inside the apartment, and later Vincent wouldn't have made the mistake of leaving his gun on the kitchen counter at Butch's. I feel like this shouldn't be a sin because it's a character thing, but my hands are tied.
Die, you mother!
Why'd this dickhead come out of the bathroom at all? We've seen that he's scared and he's gotta think they're about to leave after unloading on Brett. It sets up a funny sequence of events, but it also makes no goddamn sense.
We should be
dead, man.
Jules would be amazing at CinemaSins.
Do you want to continue this theological discussion in a car or in a jailhouse with the cops?
You two seem very uninterested in leaving a place where roughly 1,800 bullets just got fired. This is the first time you've even shown awareness of this issue. Okay, so I don't think anyone took the case when they left. I remember after Vincent closes the case, he immediately walks over to get in a position to kill Brett once Jules goes all Ezekiel 25:17 on his ass. After they kill him, there's a moment where we never see Vincent where he could have gotten the case. But when he admonishes Marvin for not telling them about the gunman, he doesn't have it. And Jules doesn't have it because we see him putting his gun back in his pants using both hands just before he leaves. Nobody goes back into the kitchen, so the case is still sitting there.
You ever seen that show, Cops?
But I thought you didn't watch television, and that's why Jules had to explain to you what a pilot is.
Well, you gotta have an opinion.
We won't show you the aftermath of Vincent's lack of gun safety here, but the windshield gets painted red, and apparently no one ever sees it. Later, Jules will say that they're on a city street in broad daylight, but I guess God is still playing his divine intervention games, except when it comes to Marvin. Also, once again, this sets up a great sequence of events, but what highly trained hitman talks to a motherfucker while casually pointing a loaded gun at him? It just doesn't make sense.
I used the same soap you did, and when I finished the towel, it didn't look like no goddamn maxi pad.
Curious to me that Jules, who just a few minutes ago told Vincent not to blaspheme, does it here in some offhand remark. I guess it's human to slip up, but I'm going to sin human nature, because this movie is going to have so few sins anyway.
I don't need you to tell me how f***ing good my coffee is, okay?
Quentin Tarantino's acting versus his writing and directing. Is there a bigger talent gap? Discuss. Also, is this the worst performance by a movie director since Sofia Coppola in Godfather 3? She wasn't a director then, but still.
It's the dead in my garage.
During this scene, Jimmy will say the N-word 4 times in front of Jules, all because he feels entitled to do so. And sure, somebody pulling up in someone's garage with a dead body seems like it should give the homeowner carte blanche to say and do whatever they want to somebody. But no, it doesn't.
No she'll freak.
This is the same morning that Marcellus meets Vincent and Jules at the bar. In fact, it's just a couple hours at most before that scene, but he's in a completely different outfit as he is there. And I guess you can make the case that the shirt's the same, but not the pants. He seriously changed his outfit before going into the office?
It's 30 minutes away. I'll be there in 10.
Just because the Wolf drives fast does not mean he navigated LA traffic that fast, unless he was driving on sidewalks. Geez, the most likely legal consequence of this morning is Winston getting a ticket for parking in the middle of the f***ing street.
I'm Winston Wolf. I solve problems.
The Wolf is a great addition to the cast, and he definitely sees the situation with a calmer eye and all that, but this plan is pretty straightforward, right? They have to clean the car, put the body in the trunk, then clean themselves. The only real assistance Winston gives is to call Monster Joe, but he could have done that from the party.
Boys, get to work.
Please would be nice.
I guess it fits Vincent's character, but this demand for a please has always rubbed me the wrong way. Like, even Vincent would realize this isn't a situation that demands politeness. One of the key aspects to this Bonnie situation is, Bonnie. So when Jimmy gives their best linens away and suddenly has enough money to buy oak furniture, how does he explain this to her?
Strip.
All the way?
To your bare ass.
Quentin Tarantino's private conversations with Harvey Weinstein somehow made it into the final script. Hey, where the hell's the bullet hole in the back windshield? Holy shit, sudden Julia Sweeney.
Say goodnight, Raquel.
Good night, Raquel.
35-year-old girlfriend's got dad jokes, yo. How the have I watched this movie a million times, but never noticed the adorable puppies in the background of this scene? And no, I'm not going to remove a sin here, because the movie should be much more puppy explicit than it is.
Any of you f***ing pricks move, and I'll execute every one of you motherfuckers!
That is not what she said last time, although it's close. And yeah, you could say the story is now being told from Jules' perspective, and it's what he remembers hearing, but I'm not buying it. God damn it, does Vincent seriously become deaf when he hits the head? There's a ridiculous amount of noise happening outside the bathroom.
Now, I'm going to count to 3. If you don't open that case, I'm going to unload in your face.
Accidental rhyming notwithstanding, this is a total I'm gonna count to 3 before I do something in a movie cliche. I mean, all the focus is on this one corner of the diner, and no one decides to leave throughout this whole standoff?
You give that f***ing Nimrod $1,500 and I'll shoot him on general principle.
Now, I ain't giving it to him, Vincent. I'm buying something for my money. I'm giving you that money so I don't have to kill your ass.
I guess it makes some certain sense in Jules' new worldview that he's giving Pumpkin this money as a trade for not killing him, but why does he allow him to take everyone else's wallets and valuables? This is a guy who's about to devote his entire life to God, and he's just gonna let these thieves take innocent people's money? And he didn't give Pumpkin the case because it didn't belong to him, but neither does all the other people stuff in Pumpkin's bag.
The truth is, you're the weak, and I'm the tyranny of evil men. But I'm trying, Ringo. I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd.
Samuel L. Jackson lost to Martin Landau in the 1994 Oscars, and I think Landau was great in Ed Wood and should be recognized. But Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction was the best performance. Whether you agree on that statement or not, I'm removing 5 cents for it.
Why did the hero flush the toilet?
Why?
Because it was his duty!
Whoa, good man.
Hi, Captain Coons. Let me tell you about the cinematic awesomeness that is Mubi.
Now you listen to me. I want details, and I want them right now.
Well, if you insist, Mubi is a curated streaming service showing exceptional films from around the globe. Every day, Mubi premieres a new film, whether it's a timeless classic, a cult favorite, or an acclaimed masterpiece, or even a movie you've been dying to see or one you've never heard of before. There are always 30 different films to discover every day.
I'm serious as a heart attack.
With Mubi, each and every film is hand-selected, so you'll never spend more time looking for something great to watch than actually watching something great. It's like your own personal film festival, streaming, anytime, anywhere.
Hey, that is good news. That is great news, man.
Mubi's recent lineup has featured famous and lesser-known works from directors that you know and love, and they're just getting started. I mean, did you know Joss Whedon did a f***ing Shakespeare adaptation right after the Avengers? Mubi does.
Sweet Benedict, God, give me patience!
And hey, you can get access to all this fun.
What did you say?
Try Mubi free for 30 days at Mubi.com/CinemaSins. That's a whole month of great cinema for free.
I'm going. That's all there is to it. I'm going.
No, baby. You dig it the most.
So sign up today and you won't be disappointed. Experience the very best cinema at Mubi.com/CinemaSins.
Thanks.
Think nothing of it.
I would appreciate it if you didn't yell at me in front of the entire office.
Excuse me, what?
The yelling.
Who do you think you are, you snot-faced little punk?
But who am I, anyway? I mean, there's Sally Weaver the woman, Sally Weaver the artist, Sally Weaver the person.
No, you gotta shut up.
It hurts just like it did the first time. You see, the pain is reminding a machine what it was once like to be a virgin. Hence, like a virgin.
I've got Madonna's big dick coming out of my left ear, and I don't know what, coming out of my right.
Just got a shipment of the dopest dope I've ever smoked. Hands down, dopest dope I've ever smoked.
Honey, I'm going for 6 months.
Loud noises!
Take him to the kennel, stick the dogs on his ass.
Arby's, we have the meats.
I was looking at myself in the mirror.
I looked at my asshole in the mirror today. It blew my f***ing mind.
But...
Wait, stop. Stop talking like that. I can't understand you.